The reaction to the new Powerpuff Girls episode is in the link in the description below to my Google Drive. What you will be getting right here is just like the edited version of the beginning and end portion of the reaction. Head off into the link in the description below for the Google Drive to head off and watch the reaction. If you want to know my fan thoughts and rational thoughts, come back over to the channel and then watch the end review. That's pretty much it. Also, in the beginning of each episode, I mention why I need to edit some of my stuff, and also I hurt myself, and you have me explain. I don't want to make this too long. Hey guys, this is Do You Want to Be the Universe post reactions. The only reason why I'm putting this in the beginning of, I'm going to be putting this in the beginning of the first 3 reaction videos, just so I can explain what exactly happens. When I was editing these, the only reason why I'm editing them and not Will at this point, because Will is currently doing some major stuff in college, because he's actually 1 year ahead of me. Did I mention that? He's actually 1 year ahead of me, so he has like the more hard stuff to do, while I'm still like kind of in like the mid-range of things to do. But here's the thing. As I was reviewing these and editing them, I was listening to myself, and let's just say I can see what people mean by saying having nostalgia and having over-biasness affect an episode. While I will say, when I made my points clear after my first impressions, aka the first blind reaction, which is the first time I see the episode, I go critically acclaiming on the old series to this new series. Even though I was trying to like convey that this new series is actually not that bad. It's actually really good. I'm not saying it's perfect, not saying that it doesn't have flaws, because it clearly does, but I overshadow that with like the old series. So with that being said, I took time to rewatch all 3 episodes at my own pace, sitting there and actually trying to analyze certain things, because like blind reactions, they kind of affect your judgment, because not only are you having your opinion out as soon as you're done watching it, but you are constantly trying to do something to entertain someone while you're doing a blind reaction to it, instead of just sitting there and literally just trying to take it all in. So as for me, I'm going to do 2 sides of a whole kind of deal. The problem with this series is that I don't know who it's targeted toward. I did not know if it was for the new fans, old fans of the new series trying to get back into the series, or a little bit in between the two. And my points my original points after the blind reaction are going to be purely based, even though I try to make it like on a both side kind of deal, purely based on old fan. And when you see me post reaction right here, I'm going to be explaining. I'm pretty much going to be explaining what it would be like if a regular fan who never heard of the old series or just saw a few episodes of the old series, didn't really grow up on it, will think. Because it is good. Let me just be frank about that right now. It is a good series. Just because I talk about the old series and say stuff they probably did better or did right about it, or stuff I remember and try to pass off my experiences, doesn't mean this series is not less enjoyable to watch than what they would do if they just brought the real original series, brought Lauren Faust back to write a few episodes with another few great writers along with the old voice actors. Those kind of things you can live with. It's like change. You gotta deal with change to understand what you still have. I mean, like, at least it's better than nothing, right? I love Powerpuff Girls to the point where, yes, I would love a rebooted series. And this is something that is actually okay. So, just want to get that out. This is going to be in the beginning of each video, just so I can let you guys know. Because when I was listening to myself, I kind of hated myself. So I'm just trying to help the people who don't want to have a overzealous nostalgia fanboy talking about something, clearly overshadowing what the actual show he's watching is. And I will admit, I became something that I didn't even want to become in the reaction. It's just weird how I didn't notice it as I was talking. So that's something I need to look into. So yeah, two sides. Me being an analyst and seeing how the episode could work and what they can improve upon on their own rights, and the fanboy side. If you don't want to hear that, just know it's the second one. There we go.
You should know by now the mercy's off the table. Think that you can try to spare me like I'm someone when you didn't spare my brother, so get dunked on.
What's up, guys? This is Do You Want to Be the Universe? And if by reading the title, you already know what I'm about to get myself into. Now, okay, let me just say it. I'm about to watch the rebooted Powerpuff Girls series. Now, for those of you who didn't know this existed, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if you didn't, because, well, apparently this has kind of been below the radar for me, apparently. Like, it is weird how this was so below the radar that I didn't know this existed until, like, a few weeks ago, and I did not know the initial date it was supposed to come out, but apparently it was, hold on. It was on March 16th that it came out, and I was like, okay. Sorry if you can hear some pitter-patter in the background. It is storming quite heavily outside. But just try to put things in a calm, easily to explain manner. I was excited about this because the Powerpuff Girls, again, like many things that I've said on my channel, was my childhood. And since it was my childhood, I'm like, of course I'm gonna see this new series. Gonna see how it is, see how it holds up, see what it can do. And then I saw some of the trailers, and I couldn't believe myself. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't sugarcoat my emotional feelings toward anything that I like. I do not sugarcoat them. I did not like the trailers. I did not like many of the things that they showed off because it was kind of, how can I say, not to my liking, because it didn't remind me of the old Powerpuff Girls. But of course, if you're gonna reboot something, it cannot be the same like before, because that'll be too easy, and, you know. But at least they're doing a lot better than another reboot that we all know and love called Teen Titans Go. So, hey, just something like that. They got the art style, the animation style is pretty similar, if not, a tad bit different than, the old series. And then the voice actors, that is the main thing that I know a lot of people are gonna have to get used to. Tara Strong is not Bubbles. Someone's different with Buttercup, someone's different with Blossom. They're all different voice actors. I could be wrong on that, but I just know that Bubbles is not Tara Strong. Actually, I know Bubbles is not Tara Strong because I think it's because Tara Strong even came out and said, "Why aren't I Bubbles?" or something like that. That's from another reviewer that I saw react to those particular trailers that I saw. And yeah, that is weird. Like, Bubbles, when you see Bubbles, you think immediately Tara Strong, best voice actress for this character, cute, bubbly, amazing. But no, okay. But here's the deal. The only reason why I'm giving this show a chance, this is not going to be a full reaction series. I'm not going to react to every single episode, unless you guys really, really want that. But I'm just going to react to the first 3 episodes and get my full first impressions out to see if this is good enough for the new generation of kids that's going to be watching this show. Because the Powerpuff Girls, in this light, was a great series because it held nothing back. I'm going to get into like my full Powerpuff Girls giddiness at the end of this reaction, but just know that I'm going in this with nostalgia. So yes, some bias to the old, but trust me guys, I'm actually going to go in this with trying to withhold my biasness and keep it to this is my first time seeing this is good, with the comedy, with the jokes, with the punchlines, with the punches, and see where this goes. But when I did see the trailers, Professor Utonium and Mojo Jojo seem to have either the same voice actor or voice actors that sound exactly just them. So let's get this started. Okay. 3, 2, 1, now. This episode is very cut and dry, really. Like, in the very beginning, you already see that since it's called Powerpuff Girls and they are girls, they have like a infatuation for boy bands, and this boy band, the Sensitive Thugs, seems like a parody on boy bands that of girls would like on boy bands. They're sensitive and yet they're tough at the same time. It's like, ooh, edgy, and I can see the joke there. Just like all boy bands are kind of the same to me. I was just like, I'm boy bands. They all have a flow to them that obviously is what makes them boy bands. But for this case of the episode, you already got the conflict plot line here Bubbles won the contest. She doesn't have another ticket for the other person to go, the other friend to go to, and Blossom and Buttercup are now going to fight over it from each other. I think the point the episode is trying to get at when it comes to a moral standpoint is that don't let something like this get in between main goals, aka finding the mayor, and tearing yourselves apart to the point where you get caught and you're almost about to die. As a person who never watched the series before, you probably don't know how powerful the girls are, period. So if you don't know how powerful the girls are, maybe a situation like this is in fact dire, and they really messed up in that regard. And as for old-time fans, would probably say, okay, they have plenty of ways that they can get out of that situation. So the factor of them saying, "I learned my lesson" for doing all this kind of cut out the serious nature to the situation if you already know how powerful they are, which is what I did in the over fanboy reaction that I already talked about in the beginning of the video. Now, as for first impressions of a first episode, I love the animation. The animation does look like it's a step up to equal pairing to season 6 and the newer seasons of Powerpuff Girls. It had a more flowing animation. You barely got things are floaty, but after watching a few episodes, they do seem rather floaty as well. It just does seem it does have a little bit more floatiness to their movements than they are in the old series. But this is something that is minor, nothing to really throw a stick at. And the comedy is hit and miss. It's definitely not in your casual comedy. Casual comedy is just comedy that just comes to you. This kind of comedy is something that's in your face, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you're probably gonna get annoyed by it. AKA the boy band screen popping up every single time they're doing something, and they're just putting their 2 cents in on a situation. The only time I got a consistent chuckle when I rewatched the episode was when Bubbles said Blossom's name fully, and then they popped up and said, "She said your full name, girl." And now you can just bottle up those feelings. See, that actually kind of made me laugh. I thought that was funny, but there were some moments where it just came up, nothing really happened, and the entire conflict, they're also expressing their age. Is of course, girls at this age would kind of stress these sort of things, and they did that in the old series too, so it's perfectly fine. As for Frederick and his point, he was a small little cute character, played his part, even brought his mom in, which I'm gonna guess is his mom, and here's what I was talking about with an obvious factor later on when I'm talking about the series. So many things are obvious are just gonna happen, and I'm pretty sure, if not certainly sure, that in certain episodes in the old series, obviousness did occur. But if I go into an episode the Bubbles Curiosity episode where Bubbles goes to the machine room, turns it all the way to 11, things weren't as obvious. I didn't know Bubbles were gonna turn into a monstrous Batman character who just beats up every single person that does the slightest thing wrong. Goes Fluttershy and put your hoof down, really. That was literally a parallel to that. She just lashed out at anything because they treated her like a pushover and a weaker part of the team, and then Mojo captured her, hit her with a laser. I didn't see any of that coming when I watched it, and when I rewatched that particular episode, I actually completely forgot that actually happened. The only parts that I remember, I didn't even know. I thought the end point was her doing the simulation and showing that she was tough, but that was in the beginning. Also with pacing in this episode is actually pretty alright. You have a beginning, middle, and end, and it's okay. So for this episode, it's a solid alright episode. There are some things they could have improved upon, the comedy would have been a little bit more better if they made it more free flow. Didn't actually because it seemed fourth wall breaking and also their own mind kind of deal. Because we don't know who the Sensitive Thugs are. We just know them as a generic boy band, and I didn't find that to be. But if it was a thing, what was that show? I forgot the show name, but they had like a pop singer in that show. I think it was American Dragon Jake Long or something like that. They had a pop singer in there, and when she had like a particular role, we already knew who she was and her kind of personality was like. So when she showed up, we got okay. See, now that flowed better because we knew she existed to begin with. This is just something that came out of nowhere and in one episode deal. So for a guy like me, it's nothing special. As for the eyes, I'm going to be mentioning the eyes a lot. I know probably for a fact that the eyes have never done those sort of things in the old series. I think it's because it just looks so weird. That's the one thing I'm going to have to get used to if they're going to be doing that a lot. I don't, and this is not just, oh, the old series didn't do this. No, it's like, it's weird to them in general. Like in one of the trailers where Buttercup is flexing. It looks so strange because it's that design. If they actually had hands and arms and had like a design like Powerpuff Girls Z, if Powerpuff Girls Z designs, if you had Buttercup flexing, it would feel natural because she actually has real arms, real legs, and a real body. And they have huge heads in this series, and their eyes take up 85% of their head. So of course it's gonna be kind of weird when you do that sort of thing. But I see that it's supposed to be like more cartoony antics with that, and I understand. So it's just something I need to get used to. It just has nothing to do with the old series. It's just something that, to me, is kind of weird. And that's that. So, and also, I'm gonna talk about a particular other topic in like another episode. But in this episode, there's my analytics of a person getting into the series for the first time. If you want to hear like a fanboy nostalgia goggle kind of thing, trying to talk about his old time in the series, continue watching. But if you don't, trust me, you probably don't want to hear that. So this is the rational me. This is the irrational me. Take a drink of any drink that you have around you every time I say the word epic. So yeah, that's that. The do you want to be the brony drinking game? Trust me, you'll die. So don't do it unless you're confident in your abilities to hold your liquor. So, all right. Do you want to be a universe rational? Do you want to be a universe irrational? Alright, time for my review, and my god, do I have some words. First off, not bad. Actually, not bad. I actually have to admit, had low expectations in the beginning. I'm like, okay, we know they're girls, but do they have to be strictly into boy bands? I'm not gonna lie to you guys on this, like how I said with my Phoenix Wright, reactions. I may not remember everything about Phoenix Wright, even though I am a seasoned vet and I played every single game. Does not mean I am basically the person to come to if you want to know all the information. I remember my times of watching my, I'm about to say My Little Pony, Powerpuff Girls back in the day, and I got all the jokes I shouldn't have, like a particular joke, involving a girl saying, I was in an accident too. Those kind of jokes, and also the kind of character development, stuff like that, really clinged on me. I love this series because it was epic. The episodes really got me involved with the characters of Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, and made me never think for a solid second that their names are actually really girly. I will not lie to you. Throughout all the years I've ever watched Powerpuff Girls, I have never declared their names as girly, even though they're the most girliest names that you could ever give a girl ever. Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. Every time I said it out loud, I was like, those are names. They're not girly names, they're just names given to these characters that are epic. Bubbles was one of my favorite character with Buttercup, and also every character was my favorite character, even the villains. And that's what I really want to know if they get right in this series. The villains with the Powerpuff Girls resonated with each other. Mojo Jojo being that villain that tries literally everything in the handbook, and then from A through Z and then more, kind of villain, not giving up in many regards and trying every plan you can possibly think of. Fuzzy Lumpkins being a very racist stereotype of rednecks everywhere. Him, my god, him, oh, Jesus Christ, him. The episode where him basically takes over the entire world, all because the Powerpuff Girls had a race, and then they broke the time barrier and got forward in time, and since they weren't there to help anyone, him took over. Oh my god, that was epic. And then they were so scared and didn't know what to do. They clicked back. Oh my god, there's so many great episodes. The episode where Bubbles is fed up with them not taking it easy on her in the training simulator, and she turns it all the way up to freaking 11 and then takes them all out. There's so many great Powerpuff Girls episodes that I can just go on for days talking about. And I hope that this series can do the same thing too. Right now, first impressions of the first episode, it wasn't bad. The voices, have to get used to them. One of the main reasons why I like Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup, because their voices matches the characters perfectly. Perfectly. Blossom had the voice of a very intelligent, yet very well-minded, very intelligent, well-minded, and tough individual. Buttercup was rugged, yet you know she still had a sensitive side, like the episode where she's with the Gangrene Gang, where she just feels like she's hanging out with people that respect her and also want to be around her for the sake of being around her, until she realized she was being betrayed by them at the end of the episode. And it was like, that's awesome. Bubbles, cute. But you know there's a itty bitty tiny little piece of rage that if you set off, you were going to regret it. Those voices matches the characters. These voices, since I grew up with the other voices, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get used to these. I actually have to get used to these. They just seem so out of place to me now. But not to say that the voice acting's terrible. It is not. It's actually really good. They're good. The eyes. Oh, that's the one thing that's really like getting to me. The eyes are weird. How they're really like taking some free liberties on one of the many things that we never got to see them do. In one of the trailers, it involved Bubbles making a YouTube video. YouTube video. It even said subscribe and everything. A YouTube video, and Blossom is flexing. Not Blossom. Buttercup. Buttercup is flexing. My fault. Buttercup is flexing. Flexing that thing that we call arms. It was so weird. It's just, you could tell the many things that are clearly not in the original series, and if they were, they hit it so well or did it much better than this series is doing. And for the people who figured out why my single solid pet peeve for Buttercup is, it's those two things of hair that is on her head. That is going to be the primary pet peeve. That is going to be the main thing I'm going to be paying attention to every single time she is on screen. That is the only thing that's messing with me, guys. That is the only thing, because you see, it's so forced. It's so forced to me. It's like, it's going to be a rebooted series. We have to change the designs. Why? We have to change the designs. Why? Because we have to change the designs. So, I have an idea. Bubbles, we have to make her pigtails kind of like, I don't know, up a bit. Yeah, just to push it up a bit, then yeah, it'll be completely different. Blossom, have that bow be less pointy and curve it and just make it like rounded. As for Buttercup, there's not much we can work with. Oh, I know. Here we go. Two cells of hair. It's a different character. Sign me up, guys. Cut print. It's over. What? No. Okay. That's the only thing that messes with me in the entirety. All right. Okay. I get why you need to like probably change up the designs a bit, but seriously, that's the only thing that's like just messing with me. The trails that they leave, it's now more, you know, like a trail of like energy or something like that. While in the old series, it's more of like a trail of their like blurred outlines of their shirts, of them going like at hypersonic speeds because they can move that fast. And I like the choo 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 and sort of thing, but now it's like or something like that. It's like it sounds energy based, and like I'm gonna get used to that. The Powerpuff Girls intro, I love the Powerpuff Girls intro because it was so R-rated, no one noticed. You have the girls running up to the bad guys and punching them so hard, blood literally comes out. And in this, it's like, okay, very high speed, antics kind of deal. And it's like, okay, hopefully what they did with the giant pterodactyl thing isn't the primary focus of how the fighting goes. Don't know if they did this, but And they did, again, they did it a lot better and less noticeable in the old series. Just the kapow, bang, wazam. This is now a comic book type fighting thing that they're doing. And when they do show the actual punches, they don't feel like they have impact. You know what I mean? In the very beginning, things seem very floaty to me. And I know they can fly, but too floaty for its own good. In the old series, they seem very grounded, like they had weight to them. And when they punched something, they punched something. And they kicked something. You saw the impact. The movie heavily demonstrates this. And even though, okay, it's not the movie had a very higher budget, clearly. The animation was clearly different. And it even had, like, you know, a darker shade to it. And it's supposed to, like, be to show their coming of powers and how they can really control them. But in the end, they didn't pull any punches with that. They didn't pull any punches. They showed the destruction that they did running around the entire city. That was epic. That was Batman. No, not Batman. That was Man of Steel type of destruction that they did. And I loved it. With this series, again, it just seems so... I don't know. So... And it looks like, I thought, okay, from what I thought when I saw some of the trailers, I thought they were going to keep the intro like sugar, spice, and everything nice. These are the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl. But Professor Utonium added an extra ingredient to the concoction, Chemical X. I know the entire intro by heart, alright? Okay, don't blame me. But no, they changed it up to the J-pop, not J-pop because it's not Japanese, but it's like poppy music in the beginning, and I really thought they were gonna keep true to the original opening because it was just simple, simplistic, quick, fast, and I loved it every single second. It never got old to me. As for the outro, that was the only thing that really like messed with my head because the outro just went like weird looking and weird sounding, even kind of jumpy in certain areas, just like As for this, just like plot lines, right now this plot line was so straightforward, so nonsensical to me. It's like, okay, we already got the Ticketmaster from My Little Pony already. Said item, only have one other item. Don't have enough item to give to each friend. Friends try to compete for said item because they want to go to it. Lesson, which... Okay, I'm gonna be, you know, very critical and obvious. In old series, that scenario that they're in would not be a problem whatsoever. Them being, okay, it's called heat vision and flying. Two things they could easily have done in that scenario to not even try to be in, like, some sort of a crisis, okay? And it's just, oh my god, there's so many different things that I have to say, so when I get to the other episodes, I don't have to say them again, because this is my standing point. It could be completely different in the second episode, something completely different in this third episode. I like this series, do not get me wrong. I'm just saying the differences are, like, the good differences, bad differences, and neutral differences. This series, the first episode was not bad, it was really good. I liked the comedy, there were jokes that really hit home. There were many jokes in the old series too, so they still have that aspect to them. They have some gimmicks, apparently. The gimmick of every time they do something, they apparently have the boy band thing pop up, and they're like, something, alright. I gotta get a chuckle out of some of those scenes. As for, like, the other thing, we also see, like, I want to see what they also kept and are, like, expanding upon from the old series to this new series, because it's a rebooted thing, but you have to already know the Powerpuff Girls to already know what there is, what's in there. See, it would be pretty, like, let's say, unfaithful to the series if Buttercup and Bubbles also had ice breath, because that was just a exclusive thing to Blossom, while talking to animals is an exclusive thing to Bubbles. And curling her tongue is an exclusive thing to Buttercup. Those are their main exclusive things, at least from what I remember from the episode. They can cause tornadoes. They can make sonic booms by clapping really hard. They can make a giant flaming cat called Razzle Dazzle. Unless, actually no, I just realized it's actually Furious flaming feline. That is a tongue twister. Used in the Super Friends or Justice Friends episode. I forgot what they called themselves, but that's what that attack is. Razzle Dazzle, aka Flower Petals of Doom, aka Sassafras, is actually a move that they use to cause like a twister of light and stuff like that. My mistake. That was my fault. Unless that's a different one I'm thinking of. But I know Razzle Dazzle was very flashy. As for, like, I want to see the giant mech robot thing that destroyed the entire city, and it was one of the main moments where they're like, you destroyed the whole city, you have to pay for that, kind of deal. It's like, it's those kind of things. They're going to have an episode where the city of Townsville folk needs to learn how to fend for themselves by defeating a monster all by themselves. These episodes come to mind when I want to see this series like expand upon, improve on, show different episodes, different moral type things that really help me develop as a story writer, because these certain aspects really help me with certain things I want to let go. Because if you have townspeople that you need to protect, it's like a gimmick that you need to protect them. But why can't you ever have these superpowered beings teach them how to fend for themselves so they don't have to be their central focal point to saving them, like kind of deal. So it's just like, okay, and it was a funny episode. It was a hilarious episode, and I love that. As for like everything else, the new villains that are going to come out, I know there's supposed to be a lumberjack dude. Right now, my first impression with the lumberjack dude wasn't really good, but maybe he'll be expanded upon. All these things. Is Fuzzy Lumpton still in there? Is him still in there? I know Mojo Jojo's still there, but I want to see how they handle him. I love him so much because he's him. I mean, dude, he's awesome. Him is awesome. Oh, jeez. But okay, that's my entire thing about this new series. As a fan, of course, I had to talk about it, because if I didn't, I just like a part of me would not be complete. This series was everything to me back when I was growing up, and unlike My Little Pony, my sisters and other relatives didn't care because they actually saw the greatness in the series. While in My Little Pony, they just look at the name. While Powerpuff Girls doesn't sound just as girly as My Little Pony, I will never know in their light. So yeah. So the other 2 episodes of my reaction to the series should already be up, so you should go watch them if you find this series interesting as I'm reacting to it. And if you want me to continue to react to this series, I will do so. And if you don't like me being overly critical on certain occasions of why I'm doing this to begin with, then I'll try to tone it down, make sure not to go too far in depth, and just keep it to myself and treat this series as its own thing. Like, I am now a child born in this age, and this is my first viewing of this type of series, of the certain kind of things, alright? That sort of deal. So, like, that's my first impressions. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is U1 Bit Universe. I'm gonna get started on the next episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. I talk a lot.